Hello and welcome back to the Vinyl Brotherhood, where we like to kick back, take it easy, and just chat about music, whether it be the latest and greatest new releases or old favorites from years gone by. Today, I am very excited to be able to discuss Relient K's 2016 album Air for free with you. It's going to be a great time, so relax, get comfortable, and we'll get started here momentarily. Welcome back to the show, everyone. It's good to be back with you at the start of a brand new year, and I hope you've all been well. I was starting to miss this a little, but I'm more than ready to dive back in. It's been a hot minute, so to sort of ease us back into the process, I'm going to review an album that I absolutely adore and that I find very easy to talk about. I've mentioned before on this program that Relient K, the punk pop group originally from Canton, Ohio, are a band that I deeply cherish. I know their catalog like the back of my hand, and I can tell you exactly who I was, where I was, and what I was doing on every single album release day. I should let you know we have reviewed Relient K in the past, an album titled Collapsible Lung, and my view towards it is a little less than favorable, but at the time I said that I would eventually revisit a different Relient K album that was a little closer to my heart. So here we are now, reviewing their 8th non-Christmas, non-cover studio album titled Air for Free, which I see as a big comeback of sorts. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's not waste any more precious time and get right to it.
Sweet Jesus, I was coming to pray, but all the hip kids sent you running away. You got egg on your face, but the faithful keep washing your feet. Wish it was simple, but it's trouble to say, 'cause nobody believes that there's a debt to be paid for the things that come easy day after day, week after week. I am a champion.
As per tradition, we're going to take a look at our album cover here. Relient K Air for Free, Matt Thiessen and Matt Hoops, presumably somewhere in Tennessee. Very nice photo. Another one here on the back. Liner notes. 4 sides are track listing. It is, be aware, the track listing on the vinyl record is different than on the digital and CD version. I actually prefer the latter version, but you know, your choice. We have some more liner notes, some thank yous. This is really interesting. On the left side here, they thank God, and it's really interesting because you can kind of see who was involved in the record and some insight there. And then on the right side here, they thank the listener. Very nice. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this record, shall we? Relient K returned with a vengeance in 2016 after a brief hiatus and a major shift in the lineup following a somewhat divisive studio album a few years prior. This time around, we've got founding members Matthew Thiessen and Matt Hoops running the show, accompanied by some hired guns, several of whom have been long associated with the band, including producer Supreme, Mark Lee Townsend, Tom Brayfogle, and to the delight of fans everywhere, Dave Douglas, their drummer through the majority of the 2000s. Along with the new roster, we are also getting something of an evolution, or maybe rather an expansion of Relient K's musical landscape. It's safe to say that they've left their punk pop roots in the past as they explore as many corners of alternative rock as possible on Air for Free. If I were to describe music on the album, I would have you imagine a 90s alternative rock act playing 70s piano rock with our current production values. That's the best I can do, although Air for Free is more expansive and ambitious than even that. And this album covers a wide spectrum, not only musically, but on the lyric side of things as well. Something fans have always appreciated about Relient K is not only their optimistic and lighthearted view of life, but also their willingness to be honest and vulnerable when the world isn't the brightest of places. Air for Free endeavors to capture the masses' everyday lives, including the high highs and the low lows. For every song about heartbreak and isolation, there is another about healing and the simple joys of being alive. And Matt Thiessen, who I believe to be an undeniable lyrical genius, gets these ideas across effectively in a relatable and heartfelt way. No surprises there. I could provide examples all day, but if you know Relient K, you know Matt doesn't slouch lyrically, and Air for Free features some of his best work. His seemingly endless and effortless wit shines through every moment of the record, although this time with an even greater attention to the rhythmic quality and without being as in your face or as cheeky as the punk days may have necessitated. You could say that the lyrical approach on this record is somewhat tweaked though. I think the majority of these songs should be treated the way one would treat a painting at an art gallery. The lyrics, and even the music, for more on that later, they serve to evoke a certain atmosphere or specific feelings. On songs like Mountaintop and Sleepin', Matt dedicates a lot of time to describing the good times in vivid detail as they happen, with no greater goal beyond capturing a moment in time. And on some songs, such as Local Construction or Marigolds, Matt will indulge a really simple metaphor and build a song around it like something off of a Randy Newman or Harry Nilsson record. I've seen some take issue with some of the less serious topics, or let's say the less thematically profound lyrics, and to those folks I'd remind them that this is still Relient K, the band that made their name playing songs about horse puns, mood rings, and Thundercats. Maybe when you hit your 30s, those songs about sitcoms and Nancy Drew become songs about your favorite football team or going out to buy some cottage cheese. We do get a reference to The Graduate though, because no Relient K album is complete without a pop culture reference of some kind. I for one appreciate the levity and think that there's definitely a place for that. And there's no shortage of more thought-provoking and emotionally evocative entries as well, such as Man or Flower. Back to my previous point, the music is also there to serve the lyrics, or rather, the greater concept, in very fun and out-of-the-box ways. The interaction between the guitars and the percussion on Local Construction are reminiscent of what you'd hear on a construction site. The fumbling notes throughout the song Cat are supposed to be a cat jumping around on the keys of a piano. An Elephant Parade sounds just as booming, whimsical, and grandiose as it should. But perhaps the strongest example of this creative approach is Empty House, a very different song for Relient K. It's a slow, electronically tinged piano ballad. And don't worry about trying to interpret the unintelligible, aggressively auto-tuned vocals, because most of them are actually just nonsensical scrap vocals from an early demo. They opted to let the music do the talking on this piece, and I see this experiment as an overall success. The medium is the message. That's what they told me in graphic design school. But that creative process is not limited to the more vignette-like songs, as Air for Free is loaded with fun details all throughout. The amount of love and attention that went into the project's aesthetics is commendable. Matt Hoops is something of a tone nerd. He's developed his own guitar pedal, and it's like his day job. He sells it. He works with a varied palette on this project, introducing springy surf guitar tones, atmospheric swells, an unwieldy delay, and the overdrive that we're more used to hearing from Relient K has never sounded crisper and more textured than it does on this record. His guitar work morphs in personality depending on the needs of the song. For example, take the epic Running. His bouncy guitar lines during the second segment are loaded with classic pop charm, and moments later we find him delivering some very straight-faced rock and roll guitar solos. And when he's not front and center, he's providing layers upon layers of accents and texture to the backing track with perfect restraint. And that can be said about really everyone involved, from the drums to the bass and so on and so forth. The performances are all very tasteful and self-aware. They play big when they need to, and they scale back when necessary, giving every song some extra dynamic tension. Matt Thiessen has drifted more and more toward piano and away from guitar with every subsequent release, and in spite of a couple of outliers like Bummin', I think it's safe to say that this is the first truly piano-driven Relient K record, but there's still great variety within. He can play a tender ballad with the required gravitas, as well as he can perform something like Marigold with great abandon and everything in between. His writing and composition on the album is also stellar. None of these songs are too straightforward. Many of them ebb and flow structurally and go every which way. Some of them, like God, Runnin', or Elephant Parade, they work themselves up to large cinematic climaxes. And some other songs are more subdued and invite you to lean in and enjoy the atmosphere, such as the title track or the hidden gem titled Prodigal. But to our pleasure, no two songs on the record are alike. No two songs scratch the same itch, and it's amazing that this album melts together as well as it does, especially considering that it's 1 hour in length. There is a huge variety in the style and instrumentation present, from horn sections, lush Beach Boys style vocal stacks, mandolins, adventurous vocal treatment, gang vocals, programming, and so on. Mountaintop alone draws from several different wells of musical tradition, complete with flourishes of gospel piano. Again, none of it is showy or distracting, but serves the concept. And none of these crazy ideas are compensating for some sort of lack in creativity in the writing. All 16 songs are melodically rich and often unpredictable. Matt Thiessen, he has this gift that I've seen in precious few others where they can write something that sounds very deceptively simple, very easy on the ears, but surprisingly complex. It's a quality that can too easily go unappreciated. So to wrap things up, I'd like to touch on what I think of the album as a single cohesive work. People tend to equate maturity with world weariness or a sense of being jaded. Honestly, that's me from time to time, but thankfully that isn't true of Relient K, or at least how they portray themselves on Air for Free. This album is uplifting, hopeful, and a quiet triumph. Being truthful without being cynical. This album is a deep and satisfying breath of fresh air, no pun intended. So in that sense, Air for Free is a representation of Relient K's exponential growth, not only as musicians, but also as people. They've come so far in their time as a band and have evolved more than many great acts have over a much longer period of time. Just another thing that has made the Relient K journey so delightful. And all that wisdom and expertise has really helped elevate this work of art to its fullest potential. Props to them for giving this record their all and pushing themselves past their limit. This could easily have been, consider that this could easily have been the cringe punk pop album we see from time to time from these legacy bands, full of songs about being a teenager performed by dudes in their 40s. Thankfully, it turned out much differently. Now, it's hard to see this as the definitive Relient K album. I think people are always going to associate them with the speedy tempos and distorted power chords of the early aughts. But what I do know is that I'd give a lot to relive the rare euphoric experience that was listening to Air for Free for the first time in 2016. And several years later, this album hasn't lost a bit of its luster for me. And of course, I still listen to it in its entirety from beginning to end every single time. The only way to do it. I'd love to hear more from Relient K sometime. I guess they're back at it. I actually got to see them play last year. But if there are no more studio albums from them, I can't think of a better way to go out than what they did here on Air for Free. So let's head on back. As you can tell, I have strong feelings towards Air for Free. Is this the greatest Relient K release? Well, they have many a fine record and things can start to get a little subjective, but is it the most accomplished? Yes, without a shred of doubt. Even many great bands don't make this level of quality sound so effortless. I had the same impression when I first listened to Forget and Not Slow Down in 2009, but I never could have predicted or even imagined that this is what the little pop punk group from Ohio would or could become. All that to say, I highly recommend Air for Free. Maybe you haven't checked in with Relient K in a bit, or maybe you've never listened to them in your life. Drop any preconceived notions you might have and give Air for Free a listen. This album is getting an enthusiastic 9.5 out of 10 from me, a score that I'm willing to give only a select handful of albums. And if you think I'm being somewhat biased, yes, I am absolutely being biased. This is one of my all-time favorite albums by one of my all-time favorite bands, and yet, looking at it objectively, biased or no, I think the points I've made are worthy of consideration. As a quick aside, I was so into this album when it first dropped. It rocked my world and I took it really personally when my friends didn't feel the same way about it. I try not to be like that anymore, but for the record, the album was met with wide critical acclaim. So there you have it. We're starting the year on a high note. Thanks for being here for my cathartic ramblings. We'll be back very soon with another review. In the meantime, you can like, subscribe, swing by our Instagram, or just say hello in the comments section. You guys have been the absolute best, and it's been a joy interacting with all of you. That's all for now, so please take care, enjoy your week, and we'll see you again very soon right here at the Vinyl Brotherhood.